Sheffield Wednesday find themselves in huge trouble right now, and where on earth does the club go from here? Sheffield Wednesday currently find themselves bottom of the Championship with an owner that's seemingly no longer interested in investing into the club. They're only heading in one direction right now, and that's straight back down to League One. Now, it's been a few days since Chansiri released that baffling club statement, and I'm sure most of you will have read that by now. The sort of key paragraph and takeaway from that lengthy statement was this: "From now, I will not put additional money into the club. If you say you are the owner and I am the custodian, then show me how to be the good owner and help save your club. You want me to leave, but you want me to spend money? If you want me to leave, then show me how to run the club and invest the money before I do that. You have no right to ask me to leave. I am the one who saved the club and spent the money for the club. I am the one who needs to pay around $2 million on average every month." One of the most baffling and petulant club statements I've ever seen released. Now, obviously, we all know that Chansiri does have history to be quite emotive with his club statements. Indeed, he went back and forth with releasing club statements throughout the summer, detailing why Darren Moore went ahead and left. Obviously, Moore came back with a version of his own events, which Chansiri promptly bit back at and released another club statement. It's always been my view that communication from the people top up at a football club to the fan base is always a good thing, but there's always that point where that tips way too far over on one side. When huge decisions revolving football clubs are clearly being made on massively emotive decisions, almost on a whim like that, in this case when Chansiri's saying that, because of some of the backlash he's received, he's sort of going, right, I'm stepping away now, I'm not spending any more of my money. Professionalism and going about things in the right manner is just the underlying basics of what every football fan wants at their club. There's no denying that Chansiri's not spent a sizable amount of money since coming in at Sheffield Wednesday, but the countless mistakes that have been made along the way, and we saw all of this last time they were in the Championship, have been repeated once again, and now Sheffield Wednesday find themselves with a fractured fan base, a manager at the club who's just not taken to the fans at all, an owner who seemingly doesn't want to be there anymore, and let's face it, a squad which just isn't up to scratch for Championship football. I think the saddest thing for me from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective is how quickly everything around them has sort of crumbled. If we think about how close and tight-knit that fan base looked after that fantastic day at Wembley when they were promoted after an unbelievable campaign in League One. Let's not forget this was a team that accumulated 96 points last season. Obviously didn't achieve automatic promotion because of that little stumble towards the end of the season, but still an unbelievable points return. It was a once-in-a-million comeback against Peterborough in the playoff semi-finals as well, and then to beat Barnsley in the final. It was just building up to so much more than what they've been served up with so far this season. Now, I think it's fair to say that the warning signs on the door for Sheffield Wednesday fans coming up to the Championship were on the cards for everyone to see. With content creators, they were the overwhelming favourites to be relegated before a ball had been kicked, with general fans of the Championship as well, and all of that was for a reason. Obviously, the quite controversial departure of Darren Moore went ahead and set the tone for the summer. It took an absolute age for Sheffield Wednesday to get going with their transfer business, especially compared to Plymouth and Ipswich, who they were promoted alongside. And since that point, we've seen both Plymouth and Ipswich absolutely thriving in the Championship, and neither of those teams have made wholesale changes to their squads last season either. And this was a Sheffield Wednesday team that finished within touching distance of those two sides, but they've been nowhere near the levels of the other two sides they were promoted alongside. So let's have a little bit of a deeper dive into Sheffield Wednesday so far and where things have gone so drastically wrong for them on the pitch. Even by just having one quick browse over Sheffield Wednesday's most used players so far this season, and it starts to paint a picture where this just isn't a squad which I think is up to the required levels to compete and progress. Obviously, there were a lot of mixed messages coming out of Sheffield Wednesday this summer in regards to what the actual aim was this season, whether it was survival and stability or to go beyond that into a top 6 chase, which was being banded about at one point. But make no mistake about it, this was not a good summer transfer window from Sheffield Wednesday. When we went ahead and ranked every Championship club on their business this summer, we had Sheffield Wednesday in the lowest tier. A lot of Wednesday fans agreeing with that sort of statement. The majority of the business they did and the deals they brought in sort of felt like short-term punts that they were rolling the dice on. There was clearly going to be an issue with goals coming into this season, which wasn't addressed in the summer, and I think that's been a major flaw in their side so far this season, that Xisco struggled to get much firepower out of this side so far. And all of that has accumulated in a disastrous start to the season where Wednesday are the only championship club winless after their first 9 matches. They're rooted to the bottom of the championship and they're already 6 points adrift of safety. Now on this channel we obviously like to have a little bit of a look into some of the underlying numbers to see where teams have been doing well or going wrong so far this season. And it's quite obvious that the biggest flaw in this Wednesday squad right now is that lack of firepower. They are the lowest scoring team in the league, having only hit the back of the net 5 times in their first 9 matches, and these numbers here back up why they've been so poor in front of goal. Only Rotherham have accumulated a lower XG than Sheffield Wednesday have in those opening 9 matches. Shots on target, only 18 in their first 9 matches. Once again, only Rotherham are lower than this. Potentially some signs of encouragement though is the fact that they're not tending to give away that many big opportunities to the opposition in each of the games they play. Despite the fact they've conceded 17 goals so far this season, they've only conceded an XG of 12.8, which is somewhere in the middle of all of these championship clubs. Now that does tell us that both of their goalkeepers have been underperforming so far from a shot stopping perspective, and once again this comes back to that maybe lack of quality in the squad. But maybe, just maybe, if they are able to tip the scale slightly on the goal scoring front, there could still be some hope for Wednesday to accumulate some points later down the road. As things stand, Wednesday have averaged 0.22 points per game, which if projected over an entire season would only see Wednesday collect 10 points, which would make them the worst side in championship history. Now the championship is far too unpredictable, I think, for that to happen, and I do think there will be a stage of the season where we do see an upturn in form from this Wednesday squad, but what's it going to take for that to happen? Last season in League One, Darren Moore recognised how to get the best out of this group of players. It is a fairly experienced squad that is the oldest in the championship right now, and while they do lack in quite a few departments, I still think there's a few untapped areas of potential that Xisco's just failed to get out of this squad so far. One of his comments from earlier in the season really stuck out to me after my side North End beat Wednesday at Hillsborough. It wasn't a pretty game of football by any means, but Preston got the job done there with a good solid away performance. Xisco came out after the game saying, coming out almost like a football purist, saying, yeah, Preston have won the game, but I don't want to win in that way. I want us to play this exciting brand of football and give the fans something to get off their seats. But I think that Xisco came into this Sheffield Wednesday job with probably the completely wrong perspective, really, and in doing so, in him wanting to come in, maybe play a little bit more expansive football, I think the messages have been mixed across the board, and Wednesday have now ended up in this shambles where they're bottom of the league with just 2 points. I have to admit, from the off, I wasn't totally convinced by the appointment of Xisco. I just didn't think he was a great fit to that squad. I think the vast majority of Wednesday fans want the manager out right now, but with Chansiri not willing to put any more money into the club, who's going to pay off the manager? All of this leads to a toxic cycle, and under Xisco, I'm just not sure I can see it clicking. Looking at their fixtures for the month of October, I think that this month will be make or break for the Sheffield Wednesday squad. Tonight they have a game against West Brom. It would be absolutely typical with me putting this video out today that Wednesday go and get a result at the Hawthorns, but based on the way West Brom played over the weekend, I can't see anything in that match. But after that game in midweek against West Brom, Sheffield Wednesday have games against Huddersfield, Watford, Plymouth, Rotherham, Bristol City, Millwall. Despite all the problems that Wednesday have had so far, there are several winnable games in there for Wednesday. But if they don't take advantage of some of those fixtures, then I really think it could be lights out. So this upcoming month will be the make or break for Wednesday. Can they build a little bit of momentum, claw back some positivity? Because if not, I can only see things getting even more toxic come November when the fixtures start to flip again. What I find amazing right now is that with the bookies, Sheffield Wednesday aren't actually the odds on for relegation right now. The bookies still have Rotherham as the most likely side to be relegated come the end of the championship season. Now, as we looked into some of those underlying numbers before, it is actually Rotherham who do come out on the bottom of a lot of those statistics, but points wise, on the eye, Sheffield Wednesday have been the worst side in the league so far this season, and unsurprisingly they are in the bottom 3, going off the bookies odds right now to be relegated, with relegation odds of 8 to 11 right now. So I really want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Where does Sheffield Wednesday go from here? How can they possibly claw back that ground on the teams above them. I know we're only 9 games into this championship season, but the warning signs were well on the doors for Sheffield Wednesday in the summer, and the performances, I think, have been as bad as a lot of people expected them to be at the start of the season because there was so much chaos and mess going on behind the scenes. We've seen some woefully run championship clubs in years gone by. You know, plenty of clubs have been relegated thanks to point deductions. I mean, that was the case with Sheffield Wednesday last time they were in the championship. But I think what we're seeing right now is the worst run club in the championship as things stand. And the dire performances on the pitch are ultimately a consequence of what's been happening higher up at the football club. Sheffield Wednesday fans especially, do leave your comments down below. I'm interested to hear from you guys on what you make of the state of play right now. Other than that though guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and if you'd like to see a deeper dive on your club, do let me know in the comments down below. Other than that though, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.